Greetings fellow gamers, it's Lukey P here with another episode of Supreme Ruler Ultimate. So we're continuing right from where we left off last time. I've had a brief break to get some water because we are in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK, so it's 11 o'clock at night and my flat is telling me it is 30 degrees, which is too hot to bother trying to sleep just yet. So we will do what anybody would do on a hot night in a heat wave. We'll play computer games. So here we are, Supreme Ruler Ultimate. So a few things have popped up which came at the end of the last episode. So yeah, that is actually a real historical event, because the Austrians did eventually voluntarily agree to perform something called Anschluss, which was where they joined with Nazi Germany. Because traditionally a number of them had looked to the Holy Roman Emperor and Germany for protection. Yeah, okay, those are all obvious. Let's just clear all these down. That was from last time, a few bits. So let's just get on with this, and we are still trying to build up our power plants. And you can see that little flashing up. That means that our air base is finished, and so air bases add a proportion of supply. So if you look, you can see our supply has now jumped way up to 81%. And what that will do is it will put up the supply in all the surrounding hexes as well. So that's now 65. That's gone up to 64. Probably go up a little bit further, will it? Maybe. Yeah, it kind of jumps around between 73 and 64. It seems to do that sometimes with clicks. It kind of 83. Yeah, so that's a lot better now. We've now got a better multiplier on our power. Military facility complete, so that's telling me that's complete. Yeah, we don't know about that. So we are still just ticking along. We've got our oil going up by a fair amount per day. We'll probably look to build some coal at some point soon. You see we're trading for that to a greater or lesser extent each day. Metal ore's all right for now. Electricity is still our problem for now. Once we get that to a surplus, we'll probably look at we may go for building up our industrial capacity, and we may go for building up some coal. We will see what the market is doing. We've now reached the point where we've bought all the industrial goods we wanted from the market, and you'll see here that the price of it is now 1,900. And a few days ago, when we finished the last episode, I mean a few game days, real days, it was only an hour ago, we were comfortably buying for that. Now it's almost $200 more. And is that a temporary distortion in the market caused by me buying masses? No, it's not. It's continuing to go up and up and up. And that is inflation and demand. You see it work there. This is something everybody needs to build up their country. It's something which is needed to build consumer goods, which are the things your population really wants. And so these, over the course of the game, will continually escalate in prices. And so you really want to be self-sufficient in this, because it's a virtuous circle basically. You let's say we're producing 3,000, that means 600 per day we can stockpile ready for building. We could use that to build more industry, we could use that to build more power. We can use it to build, and we're not having to import and run this deficit all the time. That said, we're still making money, we're stockpiling oil, we're absolutely fine. So we've now finished all our coal power plants. Let's just let that tick on one more day. Okay, so we are still not sustaining our electricity demands. Still, So we've got 50,000. We're running a tiny deficit of 4 per day, which isn't really worth worrying about. So we have got 50,000. Each power is 16,000. So we can just about build 3. If we wanted to build more, we would need to import some industry. So, and that is getting quite expensive. So we may actually want to buy some in now before the market price goes up anymore. And in fact, I think that's what we're going to do. So let's say I wanted to build another 2 there, which is 32,000. And then how many more do I want to build? Possibly, if I was to build all 6 there, that would be what, 128,000? Is that right? Yeah. Well, let's see how much that would cost if I was to go off and try and buy 128,000. 300 million. Well, we've got nearly 2 billion in the bank, and arguably we'd probably buy it for a bit less than that. Let's tweak this down a little bit. Yeah, let's go for that. So we'll let it tick on a day. There we go. So we've cleared up quite a lot of that. The market availability is good. It's no longer excellent. What we're going to do is, because that's our last little bit, we'll just tweak it down a little bit to see which way the market goes, because it may drop back down a little bit. And we will get on with building 1, 2, 3. Now at this point we may find, so we'll find there's an initial drop in money as the purchase price of these come through, but we may also find we're running a deficit each day in future, because we are building so much. No, we're still running a positive economy each day. That is good. That is very good. Let's see how oil's getting on. Price for that is still pretty lousy. You can see the top exporters are, so the US are exporting 1 million each day, Venezuela and Iran. Now Venezuela are our immediate neighbours for the north. They may be a country we want to look at conquering, because if we get them, we're not going to rival the US, but we would be the second biggest producer in the world, because we could add what we can bring to the market. We'd effectively take them off the market by stockpiling oil, which would drive up the price of oil even further and give us a lot more to trade with our European powers. So they are running a deficit. Let's actually just have a look at who is regularly exporting. Yes, it's the US. Yes, it's China. US and China. Well, let's see what China. So they've got a lot. They want a bit for it, but not a massive amount. When you think that the UK were looking to charge us massively over the odds, they don't, however, want to give us good price for our oil, which makes it difficult to build up a trade relationship with them. So, I mean, we could, if we had more oil, I might sell to them at a loss if money was no object. We're still at an earlier stage in the game. I know we've got 2 billion, but actually that can go pretty quick. So if I show you, for example, let's say we want to build another research plant, that's going to cost 200 million. You've got to buy the industrial goods for that, which is 30,000. So that's the cost of these things do add up. If you want to start bringing some production facilities online, these are 80 million. We just want to be careful with our money at this stage. So I'm probably going to look to sell to the UK again. So for 4.8 they're offering me 38. They're offering me 40. Okay. Let's sell to Germany first. So they've done that deal with us. Let's see if they are willing to sell any of their industrial goods. Probably not, because they're running a deficit. I'm correct. Okay. See, now we're actually short of what we need, so we need to wait a few days for us to build our oil back up. Okay, just see if they're still willing to give us the same price. Ish. Oh, what did we do there? Oh, we're offering to trade money for money. That's probably not the smartest thing in the world. That said, there was a glitch on earlier versions of the game where you could trade money for money, and that would improve your standing with countries. It was a bit of a gamey tactic in Supreme Ruler 2020. I mean, it would end up with the point where you would if anyone still plays Supreme Ruler 2020, you would trade several billion. So say if you were trading with China later on in the game, you would trade them 50 billion of your money for 50 billion of their money, and also ask for all their industrial goods and all their military goods, and they would happily trade that with you. It was quite a game-breaking glitch if you wanted to exploit it. Doesn't work on this game that I know, which is probably good, because it would spoil things a bit. You can just see kind of these things flickering here a bit. That's as our supply changes. So the filter I've got on there is our supply overlay. So you can see around our capital, you can see there's a supply kind of boost around here. You can see around here there's a bit of a supply boost, so probably we've got, there you are, you've got an air base there. That's what's boosting supply around that area. And then way up in the north we've got a little bit here, air base again. And around here we've probably got something, is it? There you are, there's another air base. So those are the things which, and over time, I mean, you've got a massive hole here of supply. I mean, literally, if you drove a unit through there, it would take ages because it's getting no supply whatsoever. So later on in the game, we will just start literally dotting air bases across to improve our supply. Because at the moment, you can see some parts have got 0% supply. But that's all for later. For right now, we're building up around our capital, starting to get our economy going. And I'm hopeful. Check these guys are still, yeah, they're all still assisting with construction. We've got another engineer out, so let's move him across. Our air force appears to have come out for a wander for no particular reason. But let's put them back into reserve. So yeah, these are nearly finished now. It's probably another day. There you go. So we've now finished, and we are now finally at equality on power. So we are producing as much power as we are using. Just. That's not really enough to start going on a splurge in terms of power. And in fact, you can see here we were just on the money. Just about made it. I wasn't really paying attention, and that could easily have stalled our economy. And look at the price. It's now 3,000, and I'm trying to buy it for 2,100. I mean, that is the drawback of not buying at at a low price earlier. I should really have whacked that up and just taken what I could get while I could. So I've put that up. Why have I put that up? I've put that up because this figures into a chain. So I produce that for 2,500. That then helps feed this, which helps me sell to my population for that. So what I don't really want to do is to be buying at a level which means I don't really make much profit. So we'll just put it about there, our auto buy. This is probably going to drop down now because if you see, we were spending a lot on supply. There we are. So what we need to be thinking about now is we are in a situation where some of these have now got 100% supply, because we've got an airbase here. It's our capital city, and really we're benefiting from having put our supply up. So what that means is that a lot of these now, the multipliers on them, I'm only losing 8% on that now. I'm only losing 2% on this base up here. So this is the place we want to start building up, and we're going to look at what it costs to start building industrial manufacturing. 33,000. So we aren't going to break even, because we're going to start using more of that, and more of that, which will be a problem. But the profit, or the cost we're paying for these, is so much, and it shows no signs of easing off anytime soon, that we probably want to start thinking about building up our ability to produce industrial goods. And we can afford it because our economy is still making money, and we've still got our oil to help boost it every now and again. So if we were to spend 500 million on it, I wouldn't be upset, because we've got that scale of money. And these only cost 100 million to build at the moment, which is fine. So there we are. We see our money's dropping down, but we are building up our stockpile. There we go. So we've bought the market out to an extent. We bought all the ones we wanted. We spent 500 million-ish. The price hasn't really moved, which suggests that may be the maximum for now. So what we'll probably do is we'll probably build enough that we've got a little bit of a buffer each day. I always want to build the biggest. There are these smaller ones, but you can just see that puts out 223, that puts out 2226, that puts out 22,000. Now I always go for the bigger ones, just because if you've invested the money in getting the supply right, you might as well take advantage of it. If I have 6 small ones there and I have to start building bigger ones over here, I've got to start building an airbase over there to help the supply, etc. So let's just plop one of those. Actually, let's give it a day. Yep, so we're still making money. So we went from so we're making that plus that, which is about 12ish million. So let's just industrial, let's just plot that down. We'll ask these guys to assist in building it, and let's just see how much that. So you see now, well, we must have had a purchase that day. I think we're still making plenty of money. Yes, we are. Let's plop a second one down. And let's, as we are going to be chewing through our power supply, watch me get lost. It's getting late. Let's just pop as well. So let's assist with construction. Now at this point, let's see, once the construction costs have come out, we're still making money. That is the beauty of a balanced economy. And that is probably, I mean, that is going to be reflective of the fact that our population is declining. Our unemployment is down at 4% now, so we started at 10. And what we want to do now is, I think we're probably at the point where we want to start putting social spending up a bit now. There are benefits and drawbacks to this. So the benefit is it will help increase our population, which is currently on a downward trend. If you want to look at it here, you can see our population's on a downward trend. Sorry, you get to that by either clicking that or you just hit A, and you can filter on all kinds of useful things. So you can see the richest country in the world is, the most populous countries are. So we're up there, but we're nowhere near China. You're going to multiply our population by 10 and then add another 70 million or so before we're near China. What we want to do is we want to spend a bit more on our social policies. It will increase inflation. It will mean that things we start building will cost more money. Inflation is generally a bad thing. But military goods we're buying in as well. What are we buying in military goods? Oh, because we're using 23 a day to build our... Right, we will turn that one plant back on for now, because we're spending on let's see what that does. Yeah, that might have just been a temporary blip that one day, but let's do it and we'll stockpile it a bit. Here, we don't want to export any. Oh, it's costing, there we are, this is a good example, first time this has happened. We'll let it tick on for another day. We are spending more to produce than we would be spending if we bought it off the market. Let's just see if that continues for another day, which I think it may well do. It does. We're better off putting that offline, and if we need it, we'll buy it off the market, because we're simply spending more than it would cost to buy it. Okay. Unit orders. I want you to go back to reserves as well. Okay. Ticking along. You can see our engineers helping with this, so it's going down between 2 and 3 days each time, which gets things built quicker. We're still making 5 million a day. Yeah, we don't want to do that. It's cheaper to buy off the market. Thank you very much, France. We've had a research breakthrough, so we probably want to go and put something else on the research. Germany has declared war on Poland. So an early outbreak to World War II here. Some 3 years ahead of schedule. This commonly happens, to be honest. So Germany, I mean, this is, long before the signature of the USSR, and have they actually just conquered all that in? Did I miss it? Oh, I missed the outbreak of the war. That's what it was. I missed the outbreak of the war. I thought they'd steamrolled half of the country in a day. So Germany have, they will conquer that quite easily. Germany have the best army in the world at this stage. In real life, of course, Hitler and Stalin signed a pact non-aggression treaty, and secretly within that clause within that treaty were things which divided up Eastern Europe, left Poland defenceless, and ultimately really led to the outbreak of World War II, because Hitler no longer had to worry about fighting a war on two fronts because Stalin had agreed not to attack him. That's a bit of random history there. Nothing to do with the Let's Play. If you haven't guessed, I do actually have a degree in history, which is why these kind of things fascinate me. This is alternative history. And you will still get the scripted events which talk about various pacts and various things happening. There we are. Poland's been eliminated 3 years ahead of schedule. Oh dear. So this is all quite well balanced. One thing I did say, or a couple of things I said I was going to do and then I got distracted, is one, we're going to queue up a few more things to research. So I want to look at that because that will lead to some useful things like land improvements. So we look at improved materials. I also said we would look at putting up our state spending. So let's just have a look. Somebody else has a government upheaval. Iraq has become a dictatorship. Don't really care about what's going on over there at the moment. So we are still making lots of money. We're still merrily running a nice trade surplus. I mean, let's have a look at that. I mean, that's pretty sustainable as a trade surplus. There's nothing there which is probably going to go away. Coal, I'm going to be, well, you can see I'm spending a lot on. Agriculture. I mean, yeah, I'll just put this up in case the price ever did drop dramatically. We'd want to stockpile it, but really that's our main source. So as long as we're making a bit of money on it, we're happy to sell it. What we may do, because this is an exclamation marked item now, we'll just pop it down a little bit, because sometimes you get countries will come in, and when you're not selling everything on the open market, they will offer to buy it from you at very good prices. So we'll just tweak that down and stockpile it a little. Rubber, it's not worth it. Timber, I want to make sure we're at least selling it for a profit. But given that's making so little profit, timber will probably be, when we start to reach population problems in terms of shortage of labour forces, timber will probably be the first thing we change to demand only, because simply you only make $1 profit on it. Let's just let this tick over again, and okay, we're still making 5 million, so I think we're at the point where we put some of these up a little bit. So let's put the healthcare up a bit. Let's put education up a little bit. Environment relief, family subsidy. Yeah, we're probably at the point now where we're gonna that you can go way up because it doesn't cost much. Social assistance, we'll just tweak it, and law enforcement. That is probably going to leave us with a more or less balanced economy now. There you go, $1 million profit a day. Given we're building a fair bit, given we're still producing oil for export, that is fine in my books. That is the very definition of a balanced economy. So we now have one of our industrial goods plants has come online. This interestingly may so the reason that's got an exclamation mark is because we just built that. It went to go and get the electricity, and the previous day's electricity was being sold on the market, the surplus, so it's just going to correct that. There you go. Now it's only selling the tiny amount surplus we've got, and this has got enough resourcing. The difficulty we're going to have is, no, we're fine. So actually the amount we're spending now making more industrial goods, we're making back because we're no longer constructing things. So let's just let this tick over a day and see about the lay of the land. So we are more or less balanced on power. We've now got a surplus of about 150-ish a day on industry. We've still got 1.8 billion in the bank. Consumer goods are doing all right. This is going all right. We're spending a lot on coal, but coal again is still very cheap to purchase, so I don't see any need to send my engineers on a little march down here yet to go and build coal power plants around here, or coal mines around here, which we'll probably do in a little bit. And we are getting to the point where we are, we're quite well balanced on things. So this has been a relatively good opening, as long as you're not Poland, who now are part of Nazi Germany's empire, which now stretches from the borders of France to the border with Russia. So we will see what goes on. It's always fun to watch this from afar a little bit, knowing it probably won't affect us that much in South America. So next time we will continue on. We'll look at selling more of our oil surplus. We'll look at improving our relations with the UK and with Germany and probably with Italy, maybe with Japan, the countries which really run at a big oil deficit. We will look at probably boosting some of our supply around this region, so we may well build a coal power, an air base around here, build some coal up, just improve what we've got down there, and we'll probably build some more industrial plants as well. But in order not to have this episode run too long, we will wrap it up there. So I've been Lukey P for Lukey P Gaming. Do please give me a comment, let me know what you thought of the video, let me know if you'd like to see anything in more depth or in less depth. I'm aware I tend to spend a bit of time on various features of this game because I find the game fascinating and I enjoy working out how things work. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but hopefully for those of you who are watching, it's proving interesting. So do give me a comment, do like this video if you've enjoyed it and found it helpful, and please do subscribe. So we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much everyone, and I will see you again soon.